Good morning
Good morning.
and goeiemorgen from wherever you are. I am just under the impression that we have got a bit of a slow internet today. I don't know why. I've been trying to open my personal profile on Facebook and it's absolutely horrendous. It's still just hanging out there. So, you know what?
What?
There are a lot of strange things happening this week. Some very, very strange things happening. So this is something that we are going to talk about this morning. And one of the strange things that happened, let me just get that video for you guys. I was actually at the netball game yesterday. I just open that file. And I don't know, how does the Kiwis watch netball?
I don't know.
They're keeping close to themselves, and nobody shouts and screams and stuff like that. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
And then I saw this group.
Spek 3 by 3. Ons is, weet julle wie? Ons is, kan julle raai? Ons is, Greta!
Okay, I had to say Greerton did not win that game, by the way.
It doesn't matter. It was just so much fun.
They always get the subdued thing around there, and then suddenly you get the South African portion of any game or any match or any netball.
Yeah.
And they just go.
It was really fun.
Boss. That's the word boss. So
Yeah.
the English people won't understand the word boss, but they go
No,
boss.
they were just looking at us very funny.
Yeah. I wonder why. All right.
But they did applaud us in there.
They did
Yeah.
in the end, and even though the team that was applauded did not win, you guys probably won the singing match.
We did.
It was non-existent from the other side. So. All right, that was on a lighter note. So Friday coming up tomorrow. If I look outside the window, it's going to be a wet bride.
It is raining like crazy.
So I've decided to do 3 braais. I'll have a braai the evening at my home for a few friends. I wish I could invite all of you, but I've only got a smallish home in New Zealand. So, but Friday morning I'm braaiing at Ferguson Park from 7 o'clock onwards. So bring your meat. I'll have a charcoal braai down there. And then Saturday, 2 things is happening. Point 1, you have organized a.
We are having a flower release for the 3 little girls from Timaru at the Coronation Park, at that pond at Coronation Park in the Mount in Tauranga. If anyone wants to come, it's just going to be from 2 to 2:45. You can just bring some flower petals or flowers or, just to release in the pond. We got special permission from the council to do that. And if you want to say a prayer or just a wish or whatever, you can, but it's not, you don't need to. Everyone must just remember to wear a mask.
Yeah, that was clearly from the council side. Please wear a mask.
Yeah.
We will go live for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes on this event. And if you're not in Tauranga and you just want to show your condolences, please leave your messages on the live video as well. And thereafter, we're going to go on with Vrydag, because then it's the 24th in South Africa. All right. Then we're going to Pilot Bay, and we'll have a braai for everybody from 3 o'clock the afternoon in Pilot Bay. If you know where the gas barbecues is from the council, that's where we are going to be. Okay. You said you had something to ask me this morning.
I think it's time now that we ask the men what they struggle with when they immigrate. Because we're always talking about the ladies, because we know that we're the emotional ones. But I can just imagine that for a man, it must be just as hard, because everyone's happiness and everyone's prosperity kind of relies on you. So I think the stress is even harder on the men sometimes.
I just need to stop you. You've got no guest lineup. So who are you going to ask?
You.
Why am I always the sucker to say yes to something?
So I think maybe you should just tell us before you immigrated, not why you immigrated and all the hassles that you had in South Africa, but what went through your head when you made the decision to immigrate, when you were thinking of going to a new country. What were you thinking?
Oh, I think for any man, that is probably the biggest decision you can do, to leave or not to leave, especially when you go into the unknown, because it's physically the unknown. Yes, we have been to New Zealand. We did do a 2 week tourist thing, but that was tourist. When you visit the country out of a tourist perspective, it's totally different than living in there. So we did visit New Zealand as a tourist, and for me to move most of my family from South Africa and then move them to New Zealand, which I don't have the faintest idea will it even be sustainable. I mean, that was the uncertainty regarding that. That was I think that put my stress levels right up there with the rest of the people. So, and then we had a bit of a health scare as well. That didn't add to the equation very well. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And how are you feeling about me and Zan coming with you? What was your thoughts about us?
I think my biggest fear was that either of you would have said to me, "You're not coming."
We almost did.
I think that was probably at that specific stage was the fact that because you were like trying to get the cat to wash a cat. You were just hoying out there and not really wanting to move. And then Zan was in his last year, and it was up and down. And my biggest worry was that he would get a job and think, "Oh, he's made it now." So that was really, to be quite frank, I was so scared that he would get a job that's not bad paying.
Yeah.
And then he would say, "Oh, no, he's going to stay." Because yes, we moved for ourselves, but I also moved for him, and with the thought of bringing the other kids over later, so which could probably happen within the next few years. So, I think for any guy that comes over and he's the main konyn, the breadwinner, then I think it's scary. Shit, it's very,
and
very
I must
scary.
confess, when we immigrated, because I didn't really want to immigrate, I just told Jan, which I now think was very
rude.
Yeah. I said to him, I don't want to have anything to do with the organization of this whole thing. It's all up to you, and if you can't do it, then we're not leaving. So I left everything up to him. The only thing I did is I made that put together that little album for immigration with our
well, such a little wonderful job of that.
Yeah,
I think you bore them to death with all the stuff.
I made like a scrapbook for them to look through. So. But otherwise, I didn't want anything to do with it because I wasn't feeling very well at that stage anyway. So I just said, if you can't handle it, then we're not going. So I think I added to your stress levels in that way.
I mean, the whole fact of the matter was I'm busy selling a house. I'm busy trying to sell cars and not lose too much money. I'm trying to get out of South Africa and not have the bank on my neck because they owe them money on cars that is devalued so much that it's not even worth it. Plus, then doctor told me got to go into the heart operation, and in between everything, I wonder would I get everything done. That was my biggest fear, is to arrive in New Zealand and suddenly remembering, geez, you forgot to do this and this and this. So yes, I did forget one or two small things, but
you sorted that out.
No, that could be sorted out. But the problem is you can't sort a lot of stuff out from here. So if you don't get it done in South Africa, luckily the house got sold. I share with other South Africans who are selling the houses there, and it's quite a mission. It's not undoable, but it's quite a mission to do that. So,
and then, how difficult was it for you to go and work for someone else again after all this time?
Oh my goodness! With all respect to the guy who appointed me, it was terrible. It was terrible. The main factor was you're so used to doing stuff in a certain way. You're so used to, how can I say, your routine of doing stuff.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you have to fall backwards and forget everything basically that you that you've taught yourself, because where I am is self-taught. I don't forget that and try and adapt to somebody else's thing which you probably didn't understand 100%. So
yeah. And then you had to work very hard to build up again what you left behind in South Africa. So that first 6 months when we had like $100 in the bank, or was it less? I can't even remember. What went through your mind?
I in the first 6 months, I've got a video somewhere that I made of this. I stopped at a shop, a little dairy that I call. So this is a South African kafeki, and I bought a Coke. And I paid with my South African bank card for that Coke. And it cost me 45 Rand, $4.50. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm never going to make this. That was my thought. I'm never going to make this. So I thought to myself, okay, you've got two choices now. You can either pack up your stuff and go home, or you can just stick through it and hope it gets better. So, and going back home wasn't ever
an option for you.
Ever an option for me. I promised myself there's no way ever that I'm going back to that place.
I think if you didn't have that mindset, it would have worked out very much different. And the thing is, what I remember is the first 3 months, we kind of lived off the little money that we had left after everything that we had to pay to get here. So we were kind of exhausting our resources.
Oh, yes.
And by month 4, his business still didn't pick up. So I always asked him, how's the finances looking? And then he would just say, we're still okay. I didn't have a clue of what was going on, but I know that by month 6, I think you only had you wrote like 3 maybe 4 policies in that whole 6 months. And I was starting to think, am I worried? Our finances can't be good now. And he told me, I think there was something like $100 or something.
What she doesn't know is the day I started my own company. That's after 1 year in New Zealand. We were that morning I started my company. We've got this refuse bins that we pay, I think $9 a week for. That went through. My bank account was at minus $3. That's how I started my company. That's how bad it was. But I knew there was a future for us here.
Yeah.
And I was so certain that there was a future for us here that temporary no money wasn't a factor for me. Luckily at that stage I earned some money out of South Africa, and I could bring that in, but as with anything else, that takes a bit of time.
Yeah.
So
I'm aware. You see, the thing is, and in our instance, luckily I didn't have small children to think about, so I could actually
had
just
one big one.
Yes,
and he was eating like 5 small
but
kids.
he's grown up, so he's in charge of his own emotional and adapting and whatever. So I didn't have to.
You would think so. You would think so, but think back. If I sat and complained every day about finances, it would have touched all of you, your emotional factors, both you and Zans.
We as women go through a different kind of thing when we immigrate than what you men go through, because you're in charge of the finances and you have to be the one that's helping. And yes, someone's asking, did I want to go?
Can I put that up there?
Yes.
That's your question.
Yes, I did.
What did you struggle with?
I struggled to find a job, actually. I applied for quite a few positions, and then in the end I started to crochet. I crocheted all these little toys which I sold. So I did things on the side to just kind of have my own pocket money so that I didn't have to rely on Jan for money. So it wasn't that easy. And when he started with his business and it started to go well, instead of him appointing someone else to work for him, he just appointed me. So then he didn't have to pay someone else a huge salary; he just paid me. Yes, no. So it wasn't that easy.
Coffee. I don't know who says that. I fully understand that statement. I mean, I would take clients out and buy everybody coffee and think, geez, I could have bought bread or meat or stuff like that. So
I think I must just say also, I know some women really get a job very easily. In South Africa, how it worked, I always worked in the mental health industry as receptionist or as bookkeeper or whatever, accounts lady and so on. So and for me it was always very easy. I always walked out of the one job into the other job. I was kind of headhunted from the one job to the next job. So I didn't have to go for an interview ever. I think I went for 2 interviews in my whole life, and the one job just flowed into the other. So you think when you get here, it's going to be easy for you because you know that you're a hard worker and you know what you can contribute to the companies, but it's not that easy. It's really not that easy.
And the same from my side in my business. I used to work with Standard Bank, and coming from the bank side, a lot of people knew me, and they knew if you wanted to do investments, call me. And the phone would ring and say, "Hey, Jan, you still doing investments?" I'd say, "Yes." I would phone people and say, "Hi, my name is Jan Viljoen," and they wouldn't have the faintest idea who I was.
No,
that was probably the shocking one.
Yeah.
Just a quick question, Dania. When you immigrated, did you make a financial loss? Did you go backward in your standard of living? You are going to make a financial loss when you immigrate.
For the first
few months or
maybe
weeks
years.
or a year.
Yeah.
But thereafter, if you can rein in your expenses, you will be better off here than back home. Well, that's what we found.
Yeah.
Should probably not shake the stable that much.
Yes.
It looks like we've got an earthquake, and now South Africans are afraid.
Yeah. I think it's not a bad thing to kind of just lower your standards a little bit when you get to a new country again.
You have to.
It makes you a little bit humble, and it makes
again.
you remember. I mean, when we started out in South Africa, we were also struggling. We were really struggling. We always joke about it and say we had a car but we couldn't put fuel in it.
Well, that was way in the beginning.
Way in the beginning, yeah.
But
so
coming to New Zealand, we bought old cars. I mean, I had an old Honda CVT, and that was a great car actually. That was a great car. So
I think you must just be kind to yourself and just give yourself some time to really
and go and
just
walk
get
on the
into
beach
it.
because you can do it here.
Yeah.
Go and walk on the beach. That's what I always tell people. My first, you can read that one.
Oh, I can't see there.
My first 1.5 years, I had 3 jobs. I lost confidence in myself.
You do.
You do.
Yeah, because you know what you were worth in South Africa.
You actually doubt yourself.
And
you,
all of
you
a
start
sudden,
thinking, what does this island people have against me? Why? She'll be all right. I mean, if I called any Kiwi and said, listen, this is what I do, and then they'll say, oh, no, don't worry about the wife. She'll be all right, mate. She'll be all right. I still can't understand what that means, but okay.
Yeah.
She'll be all right then.
And I remember when we got here, I don't know if it's the same for you, that first while when you go into the shop, even if a pack and save or a countdown or whatever, everyone that's walking around, I kind of felt that that everyone could see that I'm not from here. So I kind of felt like an outsider.
Yeah.
But no one actually looked at me. So, I mean, now if I walk in the shops, I don't look at other people thinking, oh, I wonder how long have you been here or whatever. It is not the case. But
I think it's because at that stage you are so an outsider because you don't even know what soup they use or
but
even
not
the cuts
just
of meat
that.
is a bit
It was
different.
just being in a country where you really don't know anyone. You walk around and there's really no one that you know.
And if you think you're the only person in the world that's struggling in New Zealand, here's another one. I cried for about 18 months. I was unemployed for 3 months and we had a house to pay for. That is the fact. And that happens to a lot of people here.
Oh, yes.
That happens to a lot of people. I deal on a daily basis with clients of mine who either has lost a income or has lost both incomes.
It takes a lot of perseverance.
And you know, these guys have got guts.
I know.
They stick out
know.
and they try and eventually they get a new job and they go on. And there's some South Africans out here who's doing really, really well. And I know where they came from.
Yeah.
It's not that they came here as millionaires.
No.
Really, they come from very humble beginnings.
I think everyone that comes here, you have to work your way up again.
Yep.
You come here, you may have had 4 million rand bringing to New Zealand.
It's nothing. $400,000
is not going to do anything for you. So, yeah.
Even the guy who pops over from South Africa now with, let's say, 10 million rand. In South Africa, 10 million rand is a lot of money.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't even buy a house.
No.
And that's a joke.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you get a job, you can afford a house.
Yeah.
of 1 million or 1.2
The other,
million.
on the other side, I can say a lot of people that I've met here were never able in South Africa to go on holidays and to do nice stuff. And yeah, with the salary that you make, even if it's not a lot of money, they have the money to travel. They
Yeah.
can actually go
Yeah.
to the South Island for 3 weeks or for whatever.
And you know, the other thing about I don't want to compare. I don't want to compare. You can take $20, pack up your, like we did in the beginning, pack your meal and go and sit on the beach, undisturbed, enjoy yourself for as long as you want to.
Yeah.
We have in the past gone down to Pirate Bay with a blanket and a picnic, and the picnic wasn't anything fancy. That was basically what we had.
Sandwich.
Yeah, that's what was our evening meal normally. And we went down there and we lay on the grass for hours, and even after dark we watched the thunder that night. I don't know if you remember that. So that's small things that we could never have done in South Africa.
Yeah.
But we suddenly can do here, and it's priceless, because that's really, really priceless.
What do you think the one thing is that would have made you go back to South Africa? Is there something that would have made you go back?
Oh, I've had a lot of people asking me to come back and run their portfolios for them, but nothing ever could have. I just knew. Sorry, I don't want to go into this. I just knew. I know where the country's going. And I can never see a future there. If I couldn't come right in New Zealand, I would have probably gone somewhere else. I was too old for Aussie. Canada's too cold. But I had so many. When we started deciding to immigrate, I had so many other countries planned up as well. If we didn't get right on the one, I was gone. I'm out of South Africa. That was my motto. I must. And
the days that I was not feeling okay, how did that impact you?
Impacted me bad. It really impacted me badly. Mariska had a few incidents that didn't work very well for her, so let's put it that way. Let's put it mildly. And the problem is, you as a husband, let's face it, every guy getting on a plane is like Christopher Columbus getting on his ship, coming to the new world. You arrive here, and then everybody with you on the ship is ducked back.
I wasn't.
But that's how it came through. You understand? You were not happy. You were in a bad space, and suddenly you as a man think, "Wow, what have I done?" You understand? And you as a man realize it's a fact that we are in a new country. It's a fact that we are not around our normal surroundings. It's a fact that, but all of that impacts you negatively, and you still got to put a smile on and go and work. Yep.
Yeah.
So having the wife not in the right space the whole time did impact me badly for a period of time. But I can promise you, I thought to myself, if you want to go home, I'll buy the ticket.
But I wasn't in a bad space when we came to New Zealand. I was.
No, you wasn't. But you had some dips down there, and even before, because before the time you were like trying to baptize a cat. My goodness, you were just going nowhere. You weren't even going nowhere slowly. You were just going nowhere. So somebody's saying, sorry, I can't see your names here. There was no Facebook or social media, very little support in the early 2000s. But especially, I mean, there wasn't a lot of South Africans down here.
I can just imagine. And I think I don't know if what the technology was like in 2000. Did we have video call? We had Zoom.
No.
Did we have
Zoom? No, I doubt if we had it. I doubt it. Still got to write a letter to your mother. So it takes you a while.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I called the moving company to find the cost to go back. I was so lost at that time.
Oh.
Yeah, I fully understand that. And yeah, for me, there was just no going back. I promise you, there was absolutely no going back. One of the big things, as soon as we left, or announced that we are going to leave, we had one or two people saying that we were traitors. And that kept me going here. Thanks to those people who called me a traitor for leaving South Africa. You guys made me the success I am today. Really. If it wasn't for you, I was always thinking, if I go back, that guy was bloody right.
Yes, it's true. Though. No, yeah.
So
I just want to say, on behalf of all the women out there, thank you to the men for making us do things that we think we cannot do, because I think we think sometimes that we're not that strong, that we won't be able to do it.
And on the other hand, the same to women. I probably would never immigrated if I didn't have a wife and kids. I probably just have gone along with all the
I
bad
think
happenings.
most men do it for their families. I mean,
But now that I am here, I realize I've done it mostly for me as well, because I love it here.
Yes, I do.
I really love it here. And people I speak to all over the world, I'm in the lucky position that I have friends all over the world, and they are all loving it where they are. So it just takes a bit of getting used to.
And I think, because I see a lot of posts also, especially in the last week, where the women say, yes, everyone is just saying how wonderful it is, and especially the women, it's mostly on the women's groups, and no one talks about how bad it actually is. So the one lady actually said, it makes us sick to see how everyone says how happy they are. But the thing is, what I think, even though sometimes you're not okay, you're not feeling okay, you can share that, yes, but you can't dwell on it. You have to make yourself feel happy again. So you really can't dwell on how bad it is. You have to adjust at some time. And I'd rather talk about how happy I am than...
And I want to put it out there. If you do not have massive highs and lows in your first 2 years, you're not human.
Yeah.
I really want to put it out there. If you do not have massive highs and lows, and I'm talking the low of the lowest, I was sitting with that 45 Rand Coke, and I'm thinking, goodness me, I'm never going to make it here. I promise you. That day I was flat I was against the tar, really. It was flat.
Yeah. Look, the yearning for your people in South Africa and sometimes for the country itself is never going to go away. I know.
Yes, you are going to lose loved ones that side of not being able to go there. I lost my father and had to do a WhatsApp video call even before COVID. And it would just have taken way too long to fly back.
Yeah. But
so
I mean,
it's very sad that, but
the feeling of leaving your country, you will always have a special feeling towards South Africa that will never go away. People that's
except when they play rugby
here for 40 years is still yearning for South Africa.
That's right.
But you have to be happy where you are. So I choose to do that.
I just want to put one thing out there. We all have a reason why we've left. I'm not going to tell you my reason today, but we all have a reason. And it could be that we all have the same reason, all have different reasons. Whatever your reason was for leaving, okay, whatever your reason was for leaving, never forget that. Because as time goes on, you tend to only remember the good things.
It's true.
You only tend to remember the good things. And then your mind, this rubbish between your two ears, starts playing with you. It tells you, wow, you had such wonderful times. Why did you leave? Because that happened within my first 2 years. And I just had to go, luckily we had Facebook. I just had to go back to Facebook and open Facebook and sit for half a day on Facebook and then once again think, wow, I'm so glad, I'm so blessed that I'm out of there. Never forget why you've left, because otherwise you would really want to go back. Really, I promise you. And it had happened with me, and I think it would have happened with you. And if other people are honest, they would also say, yes, it has happened to us as well. Because I speak to a lot of clients, and then suddenly they would tell me, oh, we had such wonderful times. We were hunting. And we were, I said, yep, why did you leave South Africa? It was so good. And then they would tell me stories, horrific stories sometimes. And then I would say to them, you know, that's why you've left. You didn't leave because it was so nice. You don't leave something because it's so nice, except the ice cream parlor, because it's bad for you. All right, time has come and gone, and we had covered all the way from our netball game last night to playing your mind, playing games with you. So, all right, remember, guys, Saturday, the memorial at 2:00 in the Mount Manganui, and thereafter at about 3:00 we're going to do a bit of a braai at Pilot Bay. That will be where the gas braai is. Whoever's there first keep place for us. We'll be there at about 3 o'clock, 2:45. We'll do the memorial service or the memorial.
It's
The
just
flower,
a tribute.
flower
It's
laying.
just a tribute.
We'll do that live on Facebook. So if anybody has got any last words,
No.
good words to say, please pop it up there. What
okay.
else?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right, that's us. And as normally, let's try and play out with something this morning. Got to love you and leave you and say goodbye. And we hope you have a wonderful but wet Thursday morning. So, all right, that's us. See you all later.
Enjoy your weekend.